So Street Talk today takes another perspective. So we're still going to talk about jib affairs, but a little different this time, related to art, because I think art is underrepresented, and hopefully John Paul Bautista, who's here with us, will be able to tell us a little bit more. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's good.
I've just had a look at your exhibition here in the Gustavo Vacarita's gallery in Casemates. It's fantastic, I don't know, exploration of people's talents, local artists as well as international artists that you know about. Dav knows a bit about art, much more than me.
Desde hace mucho tiempo ya. Pero yes, I suppose.
You do. You did history of art. So
Yes, a million years ago, yes.
what I want to know is, because I didn't even know, because I looked at something that you posted somewhere, I think on LinkedIn, and it drew my attention because it was very colorful. I don't know what it was that you put out, maybe a poster about this. Yes, maybe a poster, and I thought, this is, pretty cool. So
Cool. No? Yeah, it might have been the advertisement poster or different works, because everything that Jan and Nicole has, and Heath Kane and Naomi, I posted a lot about Naomi's stuff. It's very colorful. So you've probably seen one of those. We've done a lot of marketing in the last couple of weeks.
So what are you doing with your Ace Art exhibition here? What is it that because it's a revolution. Tell us, we want to join the revolution.
Before we go any further, Manny said last week, or the week before, sí, vamos a hacer un podcast con John Paul Bautista. He's an artist, you know? And I went, no.
I know, I've learned that today. I thought he was.
And I was like, yo lo conozco una pila de años y I don't think so.
No. I represent the artists, and I help them out and promote them and sell their work. But yeah, if you saw one of my paintings, we wouldn't be doing an exhibition.
So, are you the agents?
More or less.
You are.
For some of them, I represent them fully. For others, I represent them for certain projects.
Me gusta.
Te gusta.
Me gusta.
And how many artists are there in JIB that you represent? Quite a few?
We're working with Monica Popham. With her, we've done a few projects. With some stuff we'll be doing with Naomi Martini, with Stephen as well. We're doing projects in September. We've got something big with Carl Alger as well. Bit by bit, Gail Francis, it all started with her as well, like with the Ukraine art exhibition we did for charity last year. So that gave me a lot of experience in doing, in promoting and helping out and curating exhibitions, and Gail's helped me a lot as well.
So tell us a little bit about the artists that you have here at this exhibition at the moment.
In this one, the feature artist is Jana Nicole. She's an award-winning artist. She's got a couple of 3 series on display here, and just released the newest 4th edition, which is a Gibraltar-based and inspired series.
Which are the ones here right behind us?
Yeah, this one. This is Mercedes and Giorgio.
¿Y aquí también?
That's all Jana.
Okay,
This room is all Jana.
Me gusta porque that's very organic.
Yeah.
Vale? And layering and all that. And then over here, I hope it's not insulting, a heavy Monty Python. Heavy Monty Python.
I agree, actually, I hadn't thought of it, but you're right.
We are huge Monty Python fans.
You're right when you're saying about the nature and the circus series which you're referring to. She's American, and she lived very close to the circus. Where we used to build the tents in nowhere, in the middle of nowhere in America, and do a.
Yo una cosa, los americanos love Monty Python.
Sí, pues mira, maybe there's
It would
big
be
influence.
interesting to see if she's a fan or not, porque es que me recuerda mucho a Monty Python y me recuerda mucho al cover de los Beatles. Que está también así todos superimposed and layered. So it's very interesting.
Artists get inspiration everywhere. I'm sure Stephen and Naomi later on will touch upon that as well. Anything they see could be worth of
Pero que
inspiration.
a mí me da mucho vibe de eso, la verdad. Y esto está muy chulo, me gusta mucho.
Yeah, then the botanical series came out. This is a series that she's been exhibiting it for the last year, and she's won 3 prizes with it now, a very prestigious one in France now. It's a 160-year-old's prize, which she's been the first woman and the first American to win it. And she had a 3x2 meter installation, botanical, exhibited in Luxembourg Gardens in Paris.
Eso le dolería a los americanos, la verdad. Sorry a los franceses.
The first one. Normally it's been given to a French artist, and this one she was awarded. And it took her 6 months to do the installation. I was lucky enough to be with her in her solo exhibition in London in December last year. and I saw it for the first time. All I had seen was videos and pictures and seen the smaller versions of the botanical series, but I hadn't seen the original.
How did you get into all of this? Si no eres artist y no tiene background necesariamente, I'm assuming.
I started collecting art. I've always liked music and art and culture, and I started collecting art about 20 years ago now.
Right.
And my first piece was a piece by local artist Fernando Gomez, who did a Bob Marley painting for me, guy commissioned, because I went to an auction to try and buy it, and it went past my budget, so I couldn't buy it. I kept the photograph, and Fernando did a replica for me, so it was, and that was my first piece. And then from there on, you should see my house.
Okay.
The art gallery.
And Jana, I started collecting Jana's work about 4 years ago, more or less. And then we started chatting more.
Y eso que online auctions.
No, the one I was going to buy, I was living in the UK at the time, so I went to an auction in the UK, but obviously I had my budget.
Do you go? Do you do
I
online
go.
auctions? Te mete?
Sí, I do, but not so many online auctions. But I go more to galleries and visit museums and galleries and see it firsthand. Like, I like to see and speak to the artists and get a little bit of
Claro,
background
lo que
about
pasa es
it.
que a veces no se puede.
That's right. For an example, no? last week I was in Madrid in a trade, in an art fair, and there was an artist that I was very interested in to work with and see the quality of the work. I'm not going to mention the work, the artist, but then last week in Madrid, I saw his work, and I didn't particularly like it. Whilst in the camera, when you look at it online, everything is beautifully done, it's all, but then when you see the actual thing, it might be different. Sometimes no, sometimes it's what it is.
Have a lot to do with it and the way it's presented. Yo me acuerdo when I was in uni, había un painting de Manet, and I remember that there was an entire chapter dedicated to the painting. Y yo decía, qué pesado, ¿qué pasa con este painting? Un chapter entero para un painting, qué pesado, qué pesado. And then I saw it, and then I thought, vale. Because so much is lost. Ahora no, hoy en día al revés, everything is enhanced. But now back then, the print in a book, so much was lost in translation que claro, yo no apreciaba ese painting. And then when I went to see it, era como...
That's right. Not that every artist touches up their work or like I said.
No, but it might not be the artist.
Exactly.
It might be
the gallery.
The website. Claro que no tiene nada que ver.
For me, it was good. That's why I attend a lot of the art fairs, because you see things firsthand and you can make a decision. And the artist is there. You can speak to them. You can find out a little bit more. For me, a lot of it as well is a story behind the artwork. With Naomi, I was fascinated with the story behind her brand new series. No? With Stephen, I've heard of the stories, everything what he does to get that shot, to get that photograph. For me, as a collector, that has a lot of weight as well, not just the artwork. I like to know what's going on behind and what has inspired the artist. And obviously, you make your own interpretation of the artwork. But knowing firsthand as well what the artist is trying also to deliver, what message.
I think it's very important what you've just said, porque el degree de History of Art is very popular con personas mayores.
And they have a different view.
It's not so much that they have a different view, sino que son super teacher's pets, heavy. I remember being in class y a lo mejor el lecturer decía, because this painting, if you could see, or this photo on it, you can see that it demonstrates this and that, and estaban todas las viejas ahí diciendo, oh yes.
That's right.
Y yo, como soy tan gili, pues yo decía, look, I'm sorry, I don't see it. Como que yo era como,
Yeah, but you can see different things like that.
The art is like that.
It's like that, exactly.
Ahora te viene uno que dice algo y por fuerza quiere que se haga conveying ese message, and if you don't see it, you're not part of the...
And an example of that, no? Like last year, there's a few local artists who went to Bermondsey to an exhibition, and I do this a lot with Carl as well. With Carl, we go to galleries, we go to museums, and we're there testing ourselves, get feedback from each other. And we were looking at a painting, and he was like, I see this and that. And I said, I see this and that.
Claro.
We were looking at the same painting.
Claro.
And he saw some bits of it, I saw other bits
That's
of it.
right.
But more or less, both visions were geared to the same thing, but we were interpreting it slightly different. No? He's more of a fine arts person and more contemporary, so I see it in a different angle. It's very interesting. And yesterday, for example, I had a guy came in, he's a local man in his 70s years old, he used to work with Mario Finlinson, and for him, Mario Finlinson was the revolutionary of Gibraltar. No? When he was looking at this, no, this is too modern, it's too contemporary. He said Mario Finlinson was the best one. But I had a really interesting chat with him because he obviously didn't like what I was displaying today because it was too much for him. But to listen to him to talk about what Mario did 20, 30 years ago, it was very interesting. We had a really good conversation. No? We had different views on art, but it was very interesting to listen
Because
to
that's
both
the whole
sides.
point.
Exactly.
That's the fun bit, exactly. It's a fun bit of it, not that you can
we can
talk
all-
to somebody about your different views on
stand
one
around
thing.
and go, lovely.
No, and it was interesting.
That's- yes.
He was telling me about street art. No? We touched a little bit about street art, and he lived in Iran for like 18 years. And there, the street art on the murals were all very politically anti-West orientated. No? Which is something similar that happens in Latin America as well. The artists, because they can't be seen talking about or la censura, no?
Sí.
Pero with art and signed art, that's what the street artists in Latin America do. They go out, they put some posters up, and that is them giving a statement without actually putting their name to it, because they'll get arrested. Pero
Sí, a lo mejor tiene un tag, nadie sabe quién
nadie que the
Yeah.
street art world would know, no? Pero
Ahí está.
que that's something similar to what he was saying. Que in Iran, they used to deliver the message because it's similar censorship, ¿no? in those countries. Okay.
Pero eso como todo, ¿no? Eso como en literature, ¿no? Cuando las mujeres, they used to write under a man's name
Exactly.
in order to be able to get the message across. It's always been done. And obviously, like you said, it depends on the country, it depends on what's happening, it depends on the era, it depends on many, many things.
Is this the biggest exhibition that you've had so far, John Paul?
Definitely. We launched the business last July when Jana came over, and we had a few local artists involved as well, which was good. And it went really well, but we had 90 pieces in that one. And then this one, I think we have just under 160. So it's
Seems like a lot more. It's quite big, this place.
it is, but it's
¿Quién la hizo curating? You.
myself. Okay.
And is there something that you learn, or do you just have a flair for it and that's it?
I don't know. The first one I did was last July, and this is
Just because you enjoy it and it's you.
essentially every artist that is exhibiting his art is here because I like it. As simple as that. I've got to be passionate about it to have them in my collection and in my business. If I don't like the art, it's
Es que no
harder
puede,
to promote.
no puede,
Like that. You can't
no
promote
puede.
something you don't like. No, it's
No
the same with the
puede.
music.
No
You can't.
puede.
You promote stuff that
Lo
you like.
canta sin gana.
Exactly.
No.
No, aunque everybody that's here is because I like it and I want to promote them and I value their
So
work.
if
Okay.
you were to be approached by someone y no te llena, ¿qué?
I tell them nicely, I'm sorry, but this is not for me.
Even if
I've
it's,
done so in the past.
You've done so, even if
Yeah.
it's an amazing business opportunity, do you stick to that?
You wouldn't find it amazing if you didn't like the arts.
Sí, no, not amazing arts, amazing
the
business
person también, a veces,
opportunity.
a lot of it.
But if
Just
he didn't
because
like
he
it,
doesn't like it doesn't mean that it wouldn't sell or it wouldn't be a success.
no, but if he doesn't like it, maybe he wouldn't want it in his, I don't know.
Or I'll find it hard to sell it. I'll find it hard to sell. If I don't like it, it's harder to sell, no? As well. Porque
Is it though?
You have to be passionate about what you're selling, no? That's my view. That's it.
Sí, pero you know what popular culture is like.
I'm not doing this for money.
Hay
okay?
veces, sí, pero this is just
Yeah.
what we're saying. Hay veces que hay algo que we hold
It's costing me money.
que es una porquería.
I bet it does, no?
No, pero hay veces que todos pensamos que es una porquería, and sin embargo, it seems to be a
sí,
massive
yeah,
commercial
yeah.
success. So that's what I'm getting at.
No, but I've never chosen arts because of the value. I always, when people ask me, oh, but would this go up in value? If you don't like it, don't buy it.
Exacto.
Even if it goes up in value, that's a
Por
bonus.
ejemplo,
But
I've
buy
always-
something you like.
I've always had a massive issue con Mark Rothko, ¿vale? No puedo. Because it's a red square with a darker red square in the middle, y sin embargo vale un dineral, and I don't get it. Ahora, yo también soy más de, a mí me gusta más lo antiguo, a mí me gustan los
Oh,
classics,
classic fine arts.
¿vale? Yo lo más lejos que te llego es the latter parts of the Impressionists. Porque me gusta más lo otro, pero tampoco te digo que hay veces que veo cosas, por ejemplo, más reciente como Lucian Freud y cosas así, I think it's fantastic. Pero hay veces que veo cosas, pero claro, this is what we came back to before, como alguien diga del Archworld, that it's sublime and it's fantastic and it's fantabulous, pues ya está.
Sí,
And that's what I'm saying, que después there is a market for it and there is a lot of money can be made off it, y por eso digo yo,
No,
Would you go for it or not?
no, if, mira, last 2 weeks
Yo, de
ago.
lo que te conozco, I would say no.
No, ahí va, pero eso digo, ahí va. No,
Pero te digo, ok.
ahí va. No, no, yeah. We don't do this for money. I'm doing this as to promote local artists and to inspire people in JIB as well. I mean, we had the students here, the GCSEs and the A-levels, speaking to all the artists. Hopefully help and inspire the next generation as well. No? But yeah, no, if I walk around this gallery and I have a smile in my face because I'm seeing artwork that I like. I was walking around the Madrid Art Fair last week and I had a huge smile on my face just because I was seeing things that I like. The day before, I'd gone to another art gallery and I didn't like anything, and it was a bit, por Dios. You know what I mean? Like, but okay, if I don't like it, I probably won't touch it, even if it does make money. But I'm not here to make money in that set, obviously. You come across and make money,
Hombre,
bonus,
claro.
but we're not doing this.
You're not selling your soul.
Exactly. We're trying to.
Do we have extraordinary artists in Gibraltar?
We do, yeah, of course we do. Estamos Gibraltar, somos más talentosos que yo, Wait, I'm sorry.
No.
You can say whatever you want. This is
Él sí, pero yo no.
¿Verdad?
A mí me dice, no, we shall edit it out later.
okay. Your words are a little bit.
Go back, no? Mario Ferenc, Baccarisa, we've got Christian Hook as well, who's doing great. Carl Alja, Carl's wife, Kisan, is doing well. We've got Gail, who's always here. Photography, Asarugi también. We've got de todo. Photographers, we've got Monica, we've got Naomi, people who are winning awards, winning prizes. Like, you
And
mean,
yet,
And exhibiting internationally.
sí,
We're going to be
and
talking.
yet no se escucha nada.
no, porque
Pero
pasa que en JIP we don't promote what we have. El de afuera siempre es más bueno que el de casa.
Sí, pero no. También lo que pasa es de que, the way I see it is, de que the outlets that are supposed to be doing their jobs, in my opinion, do not do their jobs. ¿Vale? Está todo muy controlado. ¿Dónde están los journalists que tienen que estar buscando estas cosas?
So, bueno, también
Things
you've
things
got to
don't-
move.
Exactly, things don't need to come to you.
But I go and speak to the Chronicle, man, we've got this, we've got that, we've
But
got
you
that.
shouldn't have to.
No, but if we don't tell them, then how are they going to know I'm doing this? Like, I mean,
Pero what's the point then?
oh, you got to tell them, but there are.
Yo no creo que CNN
Jib Kitchen is trying to promote.
y BBC están sentados diciendo, aquí hay una guerra, thanks, I'll be on my way. No.
No, but if
You have to be more proactive. Y eso es lo que pasa, que somos muy flojos y somos muy
Well,
cómodos.
no, but that's one of the things I'm trying to do, no?
Exactly.
Promote and
Which is what I'm saying.
create awareness.
But okay, it's annoying that you don't get that support.
No, but we do. If you find the support, you do. Todo, no?
But you have to find it.
Ahí va. You get the
This is not
support.
offered to you. See what I mean?
But nothing is nowadays.
But
To be honest,
but that's the thing.
you have to work at sí, thing.
Pero what I'm saying is que it's not this accepting thing of, es que no hay. Pero no, ¿por qué no hay? ¿Por qué tenemos que ser tan accepting? ¿Por qué no hay gente que están diciendo, oye, está pasando algo? Hay que buscar, hay que pedir. Entonces, ¿qué pasa? Well, that's why people become complacent. y no
But
se
again, but
quieren
maybe not in those ways. That's the way I'm helping also the young artists as well. No, promoting them. They can. I take that shift off their work. No, they can dedicate themselves to creating art, which is what they like. And I'll do the running around.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I do that for them.
And we're helping too by
Sí.
doing this.
Sí.
So
We're promoting work for the same cause. No. Okay.
So it's very nice to talk to you. We're going to talk to you a little more, but I think it would be fun to speak to Stephen and to Naomi, who are here this afternoon with us anyway. Don't you think?
Perfect. Yeah. I mean,
I want to hear all about. I know Stephen's has an exhibition in New York going on at the moment. I want to know a little bit.
Naomi's also
about
exhibiting
it.
in La Linea, and she was recently exhibiting in Algeciras. So she's in 3 exhibitions right now. Okay.
So we'll hear a little bit more about them. So now it's Naomi's turn. Naomi Martinez, ambulance driver. That's where I met you. Yeah, having to go to A&E over Christmas.
¿En serio?
Yeah, and she was the one who was helping.
A year ago before
Ah,
so it's coordinator.
because I used to work at the hospital and I've never seen you before.
I remember asking you, what do you do? You said, no, I do this. And I was like, oh, okay. And here we are now talking about your amazing exhibition, which really is amazing. So what do you think, Dav?
I'm a bit biased porque hay Snoopy y vamos a ver.
I think what you've done is amazing. I mean, John Paul, in all fairness, has explained a little bit about your
Me no, that's not
what you've
fair.
done. So at the very end there, she's got like quite abstract Doodles, yeah, and very colourful. And what I did ask him was, how now?
Voy a
The
mirar.
detail in these pictures, it's really, really quite colourful. How have you? He said he's done all that by hand. I thought, what? How? And then he showed me the doodles, and then you explain it because it's your.
Okay, so it all started during lockdown, pasando el tiempo en casa. I was like, actually, I've never experimented with watercolors, so I started playing around with watercolors. I bought some new Posca pens. Digo, vamos a empezar. Y nada, I was just watching telly, hablando, and I started doodling. Not thinking much of it, but the shapes do look a bit organic, and there's a bit of pattern involved. Y nada, I always scan my work digitally. Aunque from the actual thing, lo hago scanning, and I see it on the computer. And from there, I make digital brushes. So what you do is you just go on Adobe, you start playing around con la parte de la pintura que te gusta, and then you blow it up.
I like to know beforehand, like your background. So like,
Okay.
have you painted in the past, or it's very
Sí.
random? Como dijiste lockdown, is this something that you started then?
No. In school, I did my GCSEs, my A-levels. Christian Hope was my teacher.
Thank you for sharing.
So I had an amazing mentor since I was very young. Before that, también I did, the Shiga, loads of doodles. My parents kept it, which is really cute. Y I did win like the young artist back in the day. Después, nada, I got A-stars for all my grades. No me fui a estudiar con 18. Me empleé en un banco, hated it. La verdad, I didn't enjoy it. And then a few years down the line, I was like, what am I
no te
doing?
fuiste?
What am I doing in my life? It's a bit personal, pero si quiere.
No, I don't need the
Vale.
exact reason, but it's because you had
Because
something
it
else going on.
wasn't the time,
It
sí,
wasn't the right
something
No,
else was
because we've
going on.
spoken this before, that I feel that it's very important that people don't go straight away.
Te lo voy a decir, es muy bonito irte de mature student, ¿vale? Yo tenía 21 cuando me fui y ya me fui con otras ideas because obviously you're ready, you're going for something that you want to establish more. And whilst I was there, yo hacía pintura antes when I was in school. And when I was there was a lot of painting going on. Digo, en verdad, the technique I do painting, no quiero hacer otra cosa. And photography in Camberwell, they had the dark room. And what they taught me was camera-less photography, con que making images without a camera. Y eso me fascinó.
What is that? Eso no lo escucho yo en mi
So
vida.
that is playing with light, exposure, and chemicals in a dark room. And also
Pero eso que en plan cámara oscura, no.
puede ser photograms, cyanotypes, all of these things. Con que there's a lot of different techniques y es muy bonito estar en un dark room. Mucho tiempo. My tutor used to say, you need to get out, que te dé la luz del día, que se lleva aquí todo el día ya.
Está blanca ya, está
Yeah.
paliducha.
So one of the pieces I did, which I really liked, was I did photograms of water. So what you do is you get photosensitive paper, you go into the dark room, and with a flashlight, you've got to play around with the distance of where you're flashing the light on the paper. And then I had a tank of water I put underneath the paper, and with a magnet, I was playing around with the water. Y después hacía playing, me iba a una par de pasos y cogía el flash. Después I used to go and develop it. Dice, no, overexposed, como tú sabes que you need to go further away. Aunque uni was more about technical things I didn't get a chance to learn here, porque aquí obviously we didn't have
No.
a dark room, no había nada de eso. Nada, hice mi foundation, I chose photography.
You
in the end.
didn't?
¿Lo qué?
You didn't?
Didn't what?
Have a dark room.
Aquí no había dark room en la escuela when I was in school.
We did.
I was 89 when I was born, aunque by the time I
I was born 80.
2007.
Yo soy más mayor que tú, yo había uno.
Pero creo que the teacher that was teaching it passed away or
That's
algo
right.
así, ¿no? Porque
That's
me acuerdo
right.
que I did hear, because I was
Mr.
interested,
Conner.
yeah.
Mr.
Yo
Conner era
estaba en su
mortal.
cuarto.
Mr. Conner era mortal.
Yo estaba en su cuarto, que he had a little room, y Christian me decía, ese era el dark room antiguamente. Y ahí yo me metía.
It was tiny.
Yeah, it was tiny.
I remember.
Ese era mi cuartito. yo me
Mr.
metía.
Morello
Yeah.
se ponía a dar speeches about art and the passion.
He was more
I
traditional.
loved it. Y se ponía, because you have to get it. Y no sé qué, y no sé cuánto. Y pasaba Mr. Conner y se ponía así. We used to have a lot. He was fantastic. He was really good. And it's true, that was his room.
That was his room. Y ahí es donde yo me metía normalmente y colgaba muñeca, tomaba fotos, el lighting, and I used to like it there. Y nada, years went by y me fui a estudiar finally.
Where did you study? Sorry.
Studied London, UAL, Camberwell. So you've got Central St. Martin's, you've got Chelsea, Camberwell, Wimbledon. There's like 6 universities. They're all part of UAL.
Wow.
So my sister has just come back from Chelsea. My auntie Vivian Pizarro from Westside studied at St. John St. Martin, so all of the females have gone to a different uni within UAL over like 40 years now.
Interesante.
And do you think what you learned at uni influenced what you're doing now?
Because I'll tell you one thing, these photographs are hybrids, one of these digital paintings are hybrids of photographs that I found from my granddad. So in his passing,
What, like negatives that you found?
35mm negatives.
Wow.
Su casa, like collecting his belongings, and we came across, me and my auntie, like loads of rolled up 35mm things. Digo, auntie, me tengo que comprar un scanner. And we started scanning them through, and we didn't know most of these people who they were, porque obviously he wasn't part of our lives because of circumstances in the past with my granny, con que we learnt about his life later on. ¿Qué pasa? Que yo empecé varios landmarks. Esto yo creo que people, and just put them into sections, and I collected about 500.
Wow.
This is just 15 or 13 creo que hay of them.
Pero me encanta because now, to me, they look completely different.
Exactly. If you look, I mean, John Paul was explaining it to me. That one, which is Lionel Road, which is just up there, you can see that now the landscape has changed already.
Igual como en la catedral, that's when the traffic used to go through, so you can see the cars passing by. Y era un poquito diferente, igual como antes, you've got the old Jib number plate here. Ahora, there's certain bits I left out, que era parte de su foto, con que dejé el road tax antiguo, el sign no se fía del pincho shop, and like some laundry there. Digo, I'm gonna leave some of his
Yeah.
photo behind.
Yeah.
Y
It's such a good idea. I mean, it's so original. Honestly, I don't know how you think something up like that.
it's all process-based. I don't think of something and then I make it. Como there's a development and a how I got to it. It's a process.
Evoluciona. A lo mejor entra tú un día y tú dices, no.
Yeah.
And then something else comes in.
Yeah.
Fab.
What inspires you?
What inspires me, there's a few artists that have inspired me. También I've got some of my photography stuff that we'll talk about later on. Pero la vida cotidiana en Gibraltar, los patios vecinos, no los ordinary
me
things
encanta.
people do, como me dice mi amiga, ¿qué te gustan los cucos colgados? Digo, it's not que me gusta. Digo, es que it's what it is, me gusta.
A mí
People are
también.
meticulous in the
A mí
way they do
también.
things. A mejor, toda la ropa tiene que ir de tal manera, y todo el mundo lo hace, and I like that. Y claro, with my old job, as I was saying, yo hacía mucho community work and keeping up with activities when COVID happened, con que yo iba. Esta semana estoy en Barberg, esta semana estoy en los Humphreys, y antes de ir a la casa, soltar los activity packs, pues tomaba la foto.
Claro.
Y ahí estaba ya documenting all that stuff.
I
La
love
foto que más me
that.
gusta es la que ganó el premio, which is of all the washing hanging en el patio.
Yeah.
I've got two similar ones in my house colgando. They're not photos, they're prints that I've seen, because I also like that whole thing of like a family hanging there washing.
I'm going to send it to you, a painting that my husband's grandfather did, que cogió un commendation una vez. I put it in a competition, he was mortified, el pobre. Literally está hecho como en un pedazo como de, no sé ni lo que es, porque no hay ni canvas ni nada. Y es un patio en el pueblo, and his mom's washing the clothes, y están sus dos hermanos que eran twins, and it's all this, and he did it from memory,
Oh,
de
wow.
mayor. And it's fantastic. ¿Te gustaría? Te lo paso.
Amazing. Pues sí.
Qué bueno.
So I love what you've done. So you're selling them here in the exhibition.
I am selling. I've actually sold quite a few, and I'm quite pleased with myself because it's something that John Paul made me think of my work in a business-orientated way, which is
Yeah.
something that I've never really done myself. Because normally in group exhibitions, I would put one work here, but aquí is like, no, you've got 40 meters of wall, then I guess the printing. So I was like, okay, I need to invest in myself now,
Yeah.
put my work out there,
Yeah.
and then see what happens.
No, y que al final del día
It takes time.
Yeah, it takes time, it takes materials and all of that, y además también el valor de tu arte, tu creation, tu skill, everything. Why not?
Y everything like bit by bit, every day do something, y después al final tú dices, ¿verdad? Back when I won that Young Artist competition, who was going to tell me I was going to have 40 meters of space now?
Claro,
Yeah.
claro que sí.
Well done, you. I'm really impressed by your.
Yo me he quedado shocked cuando
Honestly, I
veo
love the
la foto.
colors.
Yeah, yeah.
Eso sí, very, very colorful and very, very modern colors.
See, because this is done on the iPad, con que that kind of finger gestures, action paintings, que maybe it's not your style that much, but así me gusta expression going into them.
Yeah.
Y claro, I've used the brushes from the other mixed media works I did there, y on layers and layers and layers, I created these ones. Yeah.
What's next for you? apart from all this?
Oh, no lo sé. No lo sé.
Shokoko, we'll have to wait and see, no?
I'm gonna do more sculpture actually because I won this last. It was a shrimp cracker, so I'm gonna. I don't know.
A shrimp cracker?
Yeah. So
Like a Christmas cracker?
No,
a prawn cracker.
prawn
Oh, a
crackers.
prawn cracker.
But are blown up. So normally prawn crackers are chiquitito, but this was like
Made
an
of-
upscale.
Made of like a...
Perspex glass, melted and molded for it to look into.
Wow.
Sí. Pero I've always liked, como no hago una cosa nada más, me gusta también. Pero sculpture, me quiero meter un poquito más
¿Y
sculpture.
con el color también? O...
No, this was white, but I did put light underneath it and lit it up.
Very clever.
Very cool. Well, we've got another artist to speak to in a minute. Thank you very much for,
You're welcome.
and we'll talk a little more at the end.
Very good.
So we're here with Stephen Edmira now, who I'm really glad to see that your photography is represented in this art exhibition. Yes, because honestly, it's not.
It would have been amazing if you would have said, I'm not.
No, I mean normally I'm saying it because art exhibitions you don't normally find photography. Is that something?
That is you really hit the nail, the head of the nail. What's the expression? That's the expression. No, what happened is that this is my mission now. I have been, as far as a photographer, is to make people more aware that photography is also an art. It's not just a documentary record of an event. It's also an art. And museums all over the world, art museums, include photographic exhibitions. Now, what happens is that people tend to think of art in the classical sense and not with photography. So my mission now is to promote and to make people aware and educate people that photography is an art. And that's what they should be.
And just as valid.
And just as valid. Absolutely.
Será que yo tengo un background diferente, but I didn't think that is that the view here in Jib.
It's beginning to that thing is beginning to sink into the local psyche.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Is that what people think?
See,
De que no es art?
it's not art. It's just a documentary
Really?
record. See, people when they go and think of art, they think of the classic, the paintings, the watercolors, sculptures. But people aquí todavía le cuesta to consider photography is enough. Possibly because perhaps it's been devalued in a sense, because everybody's a photographer now. Everybody carries a camera.
I have to say, with the generation of the iPhones and they're getting better and better cameras, and people take amazing pictures on a phone.
Precisely, and it's a question of saying, well, I want a photograph hanging in my home, my sitting room, in my hall. What I do, the photography that I do, is a bit harder to sell as an art. But that's why I've made a shift, and you'll see, because I have been traveling and taking what is now coined, before it used to be travel photographer, but now it's now referred to as humanity photographer, cultural photographer. That you go into documentary photography. There you get the gritty, you meet the tribes, the hard life, and quite frankly, nobody wants to hang a picture of someone who's short of food or the hard life. Nobody wants misery on the walls. So recently I've been following other photographers and saying, I'm shifting, using the same subjects, the same subject, because the subjects here have a hard life. They could be plowing the fields, they could be looking after the children, cooking, and they have a hard life. But getting the same subject, still documenting it in a documentary sense, because I love that. I love the documentary and the environment and all that. And then saying, well, look, setting time apart, let's do a photo shoot. Let's get the beauty of that tribe, particularly the women. Because whenever I travel, it is the women that keep the culture, the color alive. It is for many reasons. It is the women. They are the ones who carry all the ornaments and all the color around.
And from the pictures, I mean, it seems like you've traveled all over the world. I mean, the diversity of the landscapes and the people.
I have traveled, and I set it, in fact, I'll tell you how it all started. I began taking photography, and I said, I want to go on a trip, on a travel, because I was, when you start off photography, you take everything, every type of photography, whether it's wildlife, insects, anything. But I was drifting towards travel photography, and I went to, in fact, you've been to Masuga in Morocco, and I went on a photographic trip with a couple of guys, and we were all waiting for the sunset, and then to capture the sun and the textures in the dunes. But I focused. My camera kept on drawing me to capture the people, the Tuaregs, the camels, whatever. And that's when I realized that was possibly my Damascus moment, when I realized that what I wanted to photograph were people. So I came back, and my wife said I was getting to my 50th birthday. She said, what do you want for your 50th birthday? And I said, I want a I had that. I want a photographic trip, no? And I was very much inspired by possibly the master of documentary photographer, Steve McCurry. I'm sure you've heard of Steve McCurry. He did the photograph, that iconic picture 40 years ago of the Afghan girl.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, on the National Geographic.
National Geographic. And he's done all these trips basically to Asia. And
Asia, I've been.
Asia. And the color. Well,
What do you not photograph there?
Asia.
Porque
Mira,
todo.
It depends on the country in Asia, no? India is the paradise for the people's photographer, because the Indians love a picture to be taken.
Ah, yeah?
They love the picture, and then you have to, and then they want to take your picture. So you get that celebrity, whoever wants to take a selfie with you. But Indians love the pictures to be taken. And I'll tell you why I think, at least I think the reason why, is that when you go into a village, or into a town, into a street, in India, it's one of the most populated countries in the world. And there you've got thousands of people. Nobody stands out.
Yep.
And then the fact that you just choose one and you make it feel so special, it's almost like winning the lottery. For once in their life, they have stood out from the crowd, no? And they're all waiting whether you would select them or not, and it's an amazing feeling, no? The satisfaction.
Of all the places that you've traveled, which would you say?
Stands out.
Yeah. And for taking pictures wise, which?
Pictures wise. Mira, it depends, no? Es como decirle, bueno, you've got 3 dogs, which one do you like best, no? Possibly India for people. India, I loved India for that. But as far as the general package was the last one I did, Bhutan. I was very lucky to go to Bhutan. And going, because when I travel, no, it's not I just show up in a particular week. I always try for it to coincide with a festival, a color festival. And I did Bhutan in November, when I wanted to capture the Mars Festival, which is done by the Buddhist monks, and it was absolutely amazing, the color. But I thought that the Japanese were really the people that were most humble, most courteous, and welcoming. But the people in Bhutan take it one thing further.
Yeah.
I would say I want to photograph that person, and there was never anyone that said no. And in fact, I felt sorry for them, because I remember a couple of times I used to go to a monastery, and I would tell this guy, look, I want you to go up and down. And I had about climbing a stairs with a heavy load of bucket of water, about 20 times until I got the shroud. And then I said, well, I want to give you some reward, some tips, some money. They wouldn't accept it. All they wanted was just to make me happy. So Bhutan was absolutely, it's been one of my favorite places.
What about photographing in Jib?
Do you know, I thought
On the colors.
the color, more importantly, is the light.
The light.
The light that you get here, particularly in summer and spring, is it? But the only thing is that you get blind. as a photographer, you don't see it. No, sometimes you see a picture of somebody say, bloody hell, I walked past and I didn't see that. No,
That's right.
You get blind, no?
Yeah.
And that's the thing that
Because it's
I
your
thought-
usual,
It's your usual, lo
yeah.
ves todos los días,
Yeah.
no? Y estás
Yeah.
and you get blind.
Eso como el equivalente de cuando alguien dice, uy, que de peso ha perdido, y tu mujer que te ve todos los días dice así.
Así no lo
No lo veo,
entonces no
porque
lo
lo ve
veo.
todos los días.
Y eso es lo que that's the thing.
Yo tengo una pregunta curiosa.
Venga.
Struck me del tirón. You prefer your portraits to be serious?
Yes.
I've found the same thing, but actually,
Sometimes they want to laugh, and they go, no, don't laugh.
that last
Why
one
is that?
isn't so.
Porque in my portraits, no, what I try and capture is a human condition. Now, you tell me what is the human condition. You tell me what is the human condition.
It depends.
It's difficult to
It
find.
depends on the person.
It depends.
Yeah,
No,
and the
human-
situation.
The human condition is something that it's like the aura of the person around you. No? You capture that photograph, y el que lo ve la foto actually captures the humanity of the person.
Okay.
Entonces, in every picture there are three persons involved. You have got the subject that has a story to share. But then there's the person viewing the picture that has the story to discover. Después está el fotógrafo that brings them all together.
Okay.
Ahora, lo que pasa es que when you want to take a picture, you say, what is, que the picture doesn't leave you, como dicen, indiferente. No, it doesn't. When you see a picture of a portrait, it's not something that's transient, which you see a zillion, millions of them in Facebook. You see a portrait, no? And all of a sudden it strikes you. You make a connection. And the way you make a connection is through the eyes. You see most of my pictures are here, no? And all my portraits is the eyes that count. That is the window to the soul. That is the human condition. That is what you connect with the eyes. And I tell everybody, just look straight into the eyes, but don't smile. I want to capture that human condition.
Yeah, it's his interpretation. You're looking perplexed. But I think it's Stephen's interpretation. I get what he's saying, but I also see that if somebody is jolly and is a jolly personality, then maybe their human
Exactly.
condition.
Then their personality is not coming
Yes,
through.
would be smiling, but
Yeah, but sometimes
I feel like because the person is being told that they cannot smile, entonces ya that has set the tone. So the real person is not coming through.
see, possibly you have a point. Possibly, but remember that I don't take one or two shots.
Of course not.
I take many shots of the person. Sometimes they laugh, and sometimes I tell them laugh. But my preference is always
That's different.
when they are serious. No?
That's different.
And you see all the pictures that I see. Many pictures, some of the pictures, no? For example, this boy here, he was just staring at me constantly. And he didn't smile. He was eating and he was just staring at me. Where's he come from? No, that was,
Sí, para el serio.
that was close to the border in Tibet, no? And I went to his house, no? And the mother was sort of cooking, making some tea. And the boy was just eating and he would just look at me. And I just couldn't help it. I just got the camera. And I took so many shots of that.
Have you ever had someone, entonces no te dicen que no, pero like culturally, hay alguno que han dicho, no, you can't.
Oh, see, anything.
in South America, I've traveled quite a lot through South America, and they want you to pay them, or they don't like
No,
it.
pero yo digo-
In Morocco, you can't photograph women.
Women.
In Muslim countries, it's a lot harder. Women and men. Now, lo que pasa es que when I go and choose my subject, I just don't go out and put my camera like la nariz y toma.
claro que no.
I don't do that. No? What I do, I spend time with them. You relax. Por ejemplo, the Chinese commoner, no? Yo me fui a la casa de esta gente. And I spent time with them, no? Tomándome, and I slept con ellos. It was arranged por the guide, no? Entonces you bring out, they relax, and then te dejan. Entonces dicen, I want to take your wife. Entonces te dejan. But the important thing is, when you take a photograph of somebody, no, who you never met, you got to tell them why they are special. Typically, they go, "Mira, I want to take a picture of you because I see this is special in you." No? For example, in tu caso, yeah, you've got a B in your tattoo. That's special. So you got to make them feel special. No? You got to make them feel that they are special, that they stand out.
It's
9
interesting.
out of 10, when you talk to them and you make them feel special, they will bring down the barriers and they will allow you to.
And then you get the shot.
And then you get the shot. And,
The money shots.
No, eso es otra cosa, hija.
and invariably, it is the last shot.
That needs to be edited.
Stephen, one last thing, because we're going to talk all together now, because I want to talk about art and jib and what you think about it. What is your favorite type of photo to take? Because you've got different things. You've got portrait, people, landscapes.
People, undoubtedly people. Lo que pasa es que landscapes, when you travel to these places, invariably you're going to come up with a landscape, no? Unexpected or planned. But people is my preferred option, by far. It's people that I like capturing.
Well, thanks very much for sharing your little ideas and your story with us. And now I want to invite JP to come and join us, because I want to talk about a few things. So it's great to have our local artists with us today. I wanted to talk to you about art in Gibraltar and your views on it, because I think it's underrepresented compared to other things, maybe compared to sports, compared to dance, compared to dance. Yeah. What do you think as artists, as an with your exhibition?
Personally, there are a lot of people doing stuff. We've got exhibitions all year round, like with the Alwani Foundation, the Spring Visuals, the Spring Exhibition, the Visual Exhibition. We've got the National Day Exhibition. Okay, there are various. We do a few during the course of the year. Jib Kitchen is also doing stuff. Fine arts galleries are constantly, always booked, constantly doing stuff. So there is, well, maybe what we're lacking is in promotion of our artists and our culture and our events. But there are enough artists willing to exhibit and create.
Yeah, but I agree with you to a point. But I've always seen, I was particularly struck in Australia, once I went around Australia, and every small town, in the center, there was always a space where local artists
Like Berlin.
would promote. And they were promoting when it was
all the time.
all the time,
Yeah.
and it was central. And that the space would be combined with a tourist information center, but it was always central. We haven't got that. In fact, this gallery, which is an important gallery, access is difficult, and people find it difficult. So you can get all the artists promoting, but we haven't got.
And it's a bit hidden, to be fair.
People ask me, where is it?
Where is it? And they're all.
No, y gente de aquí.
Where is it? There are two galleries, Cineete and Fine Arts, and there are spaces, no, that we should have for the tourists, no, for all the transient tourists, encasement somewhere, possibly one of the vaults on the ground floor. But that is one thing that I think that we're missing a space.
I mean, even in Main Street, the thing is the rents in Main Street are very
that's what I'm
high.
saying, the problem is
And
rents.
I think it's what we say many times, that it's impossible for diversity in Main Street because people just can't afford the rent
I've looked
in any
into-
area.
Yeah, I've looked into spaces before.
Also, as
I can't afford
I
it.
wanted to talk
Yeah.
about what you were saying before about coming back from uni
Yeah.
and finding it really hard to break into the scene.
Okay, so obviously you come back from uni, you've done your degree, and you find yourself, it's lacking in a hub, a place where I could go network, talk to other artists, no? Just young people. Coming back, I found that it was very hard, and then I came across Stefano Blanca, as you said, you know him well, and he had this massive, amazing idea of offering a platform for artists to be part of a group, like join, and every time there was a space, there's announcements, if you want to be part of this, submit your work, and this is happening constantly, so it's very good that he's been doing this, because it's offered artists a place to gather together. And these competitions, as you say, that culture put through, they're all very well, fantastico. You get prizes and it's good, but we can't have the idea of selling this competition to artists and make them believe vale, like this is where you can exhibit your work every year, twice a year. You've got the international and you've got the spring.
It has to be more available.
Y pues aparte de eso, you do also have rules to join this. It's got to be a certain dimension. Maybe you've got a kind of, artists don't want to work with rules.
No.
We want to have, this is heritage protected, so we can't drill holes into the wall. We need a space where, quiere pintar la muralla, go ahead,
Yeah.
And it could also work as studio spaces at the same time. Maybe for a month you've got the artists even open studios, get tourists to come in, cómo están trabajando los artistas, and then una vez al mes se cierra and it's an exhibition. Maybe even run by artists. Algo sing would be very good, I think.
But I'm not an artist, pero yo sí sé history of art, and I remember coming back from uni. The idea was to be a teacher. Eso me duró 5 seconds, porque no. Vale. No. Hace 20 años ya de eso, no me arrepiento chulo, so no. Pero I do remember thinking, bueno, how can I get into a job that possibly involves... No.
No, but I've started to have also a platform of something that I enjoy. Like if I was just collecting artwork and speaking to those about this is something that we created in that view, in that sense. No, the need of promotion and the need to help and inspire. So,
There's a very good metaphor which I use is football players. It's as if you said to them, vale, there's a competition you have to work for. I'm going to say a competition del spring. Pero you don't get offered a football pitch to practice. Es lo mismo, we're found in that situation, ¿no? ¿A dónde practico? Where do I develop this work? En mi casa, sí, hago patizo. I'm limited, I've got my home which I have to take into account, los suelos, anything. No puedo hacer patizo en mi casa, so it's kind of more or less that.
I think there's projects in the pipeline. I think finance and culture is looking to give this, not to do as but it's in the pipeline. Hopefully, it will happen sooner rather than later.
También the international dimension, no? That we should have more cross-fertilization with other art organizations, whether it is in London or Spain in the vicinity, no? And that's one thing that we should be exposed to
Which is what we're doing here as well.
art from outside to inspire the artist, no? And equally, we should be able to export and show our art beyond the fine arts or the exhibitions twice a year, the summer.
Residencies are very good.
Yeah.
I did the Berlin residency y aprendí un montón. And I also learned that there, a building is done and the developer says 5% of this building has to go towards artist space. Con que no se pierde, por eso it's booming with
They need to do more of that. And in fact, I have been to some offices where local artists are depicted.
Yeah.
There's a few of the new offices, which are these big ones in the World Trade Center,
Yeah.
which do have local artists hanging in there. For example, there's a local coffee shop that has art that also does art from different artists now and again. More of that, I think, is needed.
That's coming, yeah.
And the new
Good.
space in
Good.
where they're building the National Theatre. I think Ruth Parasol has actually
gallery,
just given the donation, a very generous donation, and it's on condition that it is to be a space for artists. So
También te digo una cosa. Again, going back to the same point as always, it begins at home. It begins at home. Entonces hay que tener ese interés de querer ir, de querer presentarte, de acordarte de que esta tarde a las 6 hay algo. Bring your kids. My daughter.
With me to all the museums, the galleries.
Sí, pero how many other people do you know? No, porque mejor vamos a Disney.
There's nothing wrong.
Sí, but I'm talking about home. I'm talking about your family. I'm talking about not just saying, bueno, vamos a ir a los típicos sitios de siempre. Yo when my daughter was 2, we came to an exhibition, because obviously nos gusta el arte y mi background y todo eso, and my daughter bought her first painting.
My son has commissioned 3 paintings already
Vale.
for his birthday.
Pero-
Really, en serio.
¿Pero por qué? Por la situación que vive en casa. Entonces, you don't get that. You don't get people saying, bueno, let's check it out, pero en verdad a mí no me interesa. Bueno, pero check it out. A lo mejor you'll be very surprised. You'll
And
go
it's
in and you'll
free.
think, exactly. And mira, algo pasé, algo diferente. En vez de ser lo mismo de siempre, pues llégate.
Yeah.
It's just, I think, joyful. No, you come into this exhibition and I feel the joy, the colors. I mean, I know it's quite personal to you, this exhibition, because you're depicting artists that you like, but all of them are all about color. They bring a smile to your faces. Like you say, you go to an exhibition in Madrid and you walked around one, you didn't like it, but then the next day. But I relate to that completely, because I suppose as artists, that's what you're like as well. When you see things for inspiration, no, you look at things and the things that fill your soul are what you're going to try and put out, no?
Exactly. Sí, you need to be inspired, and conversation inspires un
me la ha
montón.
quitado.
Es
Por
que
ejemplo,
es
a mí
muy importante.
me gusta the facts de que a lo mejor yo ahora vengo aquí a cualquier otro exhibition y a lo mejor yo cuando salgo fuera pienso, porquería. But it starts that conversation.
Sí, everybody has
¿Vale?
an opinion.
Es como cuando yo voy a ver una película, ¿no? Like, nosotros somos heavy Star Wars fans y cuando vamos a ver los Star Wars, vamos mi sobrino, mi marido y yo, si pudiera lo haría. Escúchame, si yo pudiera ir a trabajar en Fancy Dress, iría, ¿vale? Con eso te lo digo todo, ¿vale? Pero a mí lo que me gusta es después we go out. ¿Qué pensaste? Esto, y escucha, y lo otro, y lo mismo
it
es esto.
provokes conversation.
It's the conversation.
Yeah,
It's the
absolutely.
consideration, and I think it's so interesting, and the fact que people don't want to come out of that, ¿no? No, esto es lo que sabemos. No, let's look at something else, que a lo mejor sale, como he dicho, sale.
live with blinkers.
Entonces tú sales y tú dices, pues mira, no me ha gustado, pero a lo mejor sale un día y dice, pues escúchame, no me ha gustado, pero esto me encantó. And then it starts something else.
You asked before, no, about if you don't like it, no, you can appreciate something. It doesn't mean you like it, no? But you can appreciate the work behind it, the meaning, whatever. But you've got to.
Okay, there's so many different layers.
That's right.
And so many different factors. Y entonces, it would be so nice if more of it was taken into consideration by a JIB in general, I think. No, más support.
Yeah, and we were saying before, no, when we were talking about Diana Nicole's range, you particularly liked one more than the other. Okay, even with the same artist, you can see different interpretations,
Yes,
different
yeah, so
styles.
that's the same as when they go
Okay.
through phases and they go through movements. Y hay cosas que sí, hay cosas que no.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And when the artist is changing their style, doing two different things, it's also a challenge for themselves. They're being inspired by something else. The same with music, no? When you listen to a band that you really like, and like, for example, there's different bands. One of them maybe has a new album. You listen to the new album, you know, it's exactly the same as the one before.
Yo como Coldplay.
There's no difference. Like that.
puede.
Okay, when this,
Bueno, no Coldplay ya.
you always have they might
Pero
have a
Coldplay at the beginning,
like that.
it's, no puedo, se me mete aquí y es que no puedo.
But I
So
appreciate when
it's very-
this album, one of my favorite, like, I mean, I listen to a lot of Miguel Campello del Vicio, no? And every album is, although you can tell it's his album,
It's different.
but they're different. You know what I mean? Another one of hip hop game, I really didn't like it that much the other day. But again, it's a latest album and it's different to the other ones they've done. It's a bit attending to a more modern and younger market. So it's them shifting their work a little bit. Okay, artists as well, they might change, they might go to an art fair and say, well, no, this wasn't selling, but that artist was selling something there. So they might be inspired about what they saw in the art fair and then do something different to what they were.
Todo,
It's a challenge to me.
the moment you might be living in your life at the moment. Es que son tantas cosas.
With him is, what is he seeing? What has he got in front of him? Okay, that obviously the scene or where he's traveling to is going to inspire what work he's going to put out. Okay, I mean, it depends on a lot of things.
So it's super important that you guys keep going.
Yes.
And doing what you're doing and keep it there, current, for everyone to see. And we're happy to promote whenever we
And
can.
it's super important that
And-
you guys
Yes.
support and come along,
Yes.
porque entonces no
Absolutely.
llegamos a nada.
Thank you very much for chatting to us.
It's been very enjoyable.
Yeah, brilliant, guys.
Oh, one thing before we go.
Okay.
Do you know, do any of you have pets, by the way?
Well, actually, I've got a canary.
Well, I don't know whether Ibex Insurance will sponsor our show, what's it called? Insure a canary, but they do amazing pet insurance. That's very good to know. We may as well sell it while we're here. And we have to bring it in, so see, you never know, you never know. We could ask if they do canary insurance.
6, 7-year-olds, fish my tank that
Oh, as well, I don't know. We'll have to
Año
find
tiene
out.
el Angel Wish.
got a rainbow shark, which is 7 years old.
¿Qué dice?
Wow.
I'm impressed. Look at fish in my house, they always die. I'm
And
very
mine.
impressed.
We've
Nike.
had fish. But now that with that, thanks a lot, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.